Miss Casag talks about her ESL class and explains that one of the type of the three that an ESL child can be placed in. Also, she explains why in her class there are three non-ESL students.
I have about 8 though that aren't ESL.
So
It's self-contained. The way they take the nicest lot in May and they don't find out who passes until September and they move children around.
it is not necessary for an ESL teacher to speak a second language. Actually, it may be beneficial if they don't. Ms. Casag does not speak another language. In teacher training, it's not specified that you have to.
I think it's an advantage because then I'm not more likely to say something to the non-English child. I speak to them obviously only in English and I use gestures, pictures, and they get by. It's a little harder, but if they know I speak their language, I think they're going to be more inclined not to speak English and come to me and not adjust as well as quickly.
Changes are constantly being made to general education, so there should be improvements to ESL classes, but normally they're not.
I like the idea of mixing with the monolingual or a CTT because their class is very needy and they're very large and it's really hard to reach all of them. And I think it would be more beneficial for the children if they had 2 adults in the room, like a special ed class with 2 teachers, and then you can break them up a little bit more.
ESL children need more than general education children, almost on par to special education children. A general education class has around 26 students to 1 teacher. An ESL class has 27 to 28 students per teacher, while a special ed class may have 26 students but can have 2 teachers, 2 paras, and an assistant. Why do they need so much for an ESL class?
They need a lot of language, they need a lot of repetition, they need a lot of visuals, drawings, acting out, singing, all of that.
A great deal of student success comes from their parents. But when their parents don't speak English, it's hard for them to understand what an ESL class is. When they register their child for classes and they mark that they don't speak English at home, the child is immediately tested. The parents don't quite understand what an ESL class is. And it's hard for teachers like Ms. Casag, who may not speak a popular language, to communicate to the parents what is necessary for their child to succeed.
That's one problem I have with communicating with them. I have to translate anything that written notes that go home. When I call, a translator has to be a part of it, so that creates a big barrier between me and the parents. And I think they feel it too, and especially if there's a problem with the child or if they need to be referred, they become a little sensitive with who's involved in the conversation. Between the parents, because I don't speak English, it's hard. I feel they don't really assimilate because we have everything translated here. Any official notice that gets sent home is translated. Everything's to accommodate them.
The biggest question asked is whether or not Mexican immigrant children do better or worse in this ESL program that's set up to help all different nationalities of all different languages.
They're an ESL child, they go home, they speak only Spanish, the parents only speak Spanish. The 2 I have happen to be very quiet, but I think that's just their personality.
Right.
Their parents are very nice and pleasant, they're older, they're of appropriate age to have a child as opposed to I have a lot of young parents in my class.